later in the show, we're going to have the Tim Scheuer, the co-founder of the Oxygen, where he's building a go-to-market infrastructure that runs from Claude Code. They went from 0 to over 415 users in under 45 days. Before that, he served 20 plus B2B tech companies as a go-to-market engineer, and he's doing all of that at just 22 years old. Tim, you're in. How are you doing?
Perfect. It's a pleasure to be here on the show. I've been actually a long-time viewer of your YouTube channel and glad to see that you're hosting a show. So glad to be on it.
Yeah. So we've been connected with you on LinkedIn, and I've been actually following your content. So the first question that I do want to ask is, from your post, it seems like you're trying to build the next Salesforce. So my question is, why?
It is actually a hard question, but with my co-founder, we realized that sales tech hasn't changed for a very long time. And now with this shift of agents, we feel like there's a need for a new kind of infrastructure to run your revenue operations, to run your go-to-market on. And we thought that Salesforce Clay would start to adopt that technology more, but realized it didn't come. So we are now building it that we can make it happen. Because ultimately, over the past few years, a lot of different point solutions have emerged in the market in go-to-market tech. And we want to consolidate that into an infrastructure that agents and sales teams can collaborate on that. I'm sure we can talk about it in more detail, but that's the high level overview.
And throughout all of your content, I always see that you reference, the Claude Code and the new tools that everyone is kind of starting to use. And obviously, the new wave of us interacting with the different interfaces is the CLI, right? So would love to know your point. Is this the future of how we as agency owners, as business owners, are going to be creating the campaigns and interacting with the software through the command lines, or you think it's not as shiny as it seems?
Absolutely. So our philosophy is pretty clear. We don't want to build an agent. In our product, we have more or less no AI, but we are an AI first product in the sense that we built this CLI, this MCP. For those who don't know, what we essentially do is we expose our whole product to Claude Code or Codex or whatever agent you're using. So we believe that Claude Code or Codex will become the intelligence layer, but they need to have the infrastructure. For us, that means the data, meaning leads and signals, meaning a database, the necessary tools to do actions like sequencing, workflows. And we essentially want to build that layer. But ultimately, we believe that you will live in Claude Code in the future and it will be your operating system. And you will only have a very thin UI layer on top. Exactly.
A few clarifications before we move forward so that viewers can understand. First of all, when you are saying Claude Code, do you actually refer to the Claude, or you're using it as an example, and this could be anything like, the Codex or like Cursor, or you believe that the Claude will most likely win the game in the long run?
Fundamentally, we are agent agnostic. And you don't need to use something like Claude Code or Codex. You can literally use the regular Claude, the Claude Chat, and the Chat GPT as long as it has an MCP connection. So MCP is really the only requirement. But I'm referring to Claude Code and Codex because, as you know, and the audience probably listening to it also knows,
Yeah.
that Claude Code really unlocks more or less everything that you can do on the internet because it has the ability to write code. It has the ability to properly architect systems, which, for example, Claude Chat has struggled with. It can't build like compounding memory systems, which I'm glad to show in a second. But fundamentally, I believe at the end of the day, everything will converge into one agent, which will likely orchestrate your whole business operations. And likely it will be either Anthropic's Claude Code or ChatGPT's Codex. We'll see.
Sure. Maybe there's going to be a new player.
Or a new
Everyone who's
player, of
watching
course.
right now, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Like and subscribe. Also, in the description, you'll get a 10% off coupon code that you can apply to your first instantly purchase. So, Tim, In the elevator pitch, explain what you do, what your company does.
In short, we're building go-to-market infrastructure by unifying following things: lead and signal sourcing. We have a database so that you can build workflows. Then we also have sequences and a CRM. And we built this in a way that these are just primitives which Claude Code or Codex can dynamically assemble custom to your business and go-to-market needs. So we're building a go-to-market operating system.
Interesting. Now, let's play a little game of levels. If you have $0 to $500 that you
Mhm.
want to invest in the go to market, so let's say a company comes to you and says, hey, Tim, we want to start generating demand using all of these new tools. So if you only have $500 to spend to generate first leads and close first clients, what would be the first things that you do? Is it going to be email? Is it going to be LinkedIn? Is it going to be content? Is it going to be outreach? Anything. Would love to know your thoughts.
I like that you are putting that into levels. Let's start at level one, at level
Yeah.
zero, actually. If you have $0, the easiest way to
Okay.
get started is you post consistently on LinkedIn, which already will generate some demand or some level of engagement. And then you reach out to these post engagers. You can do that for 6 months. If you're posting 5 times a week and you reach out to qualified post engagers, you will very likely close your first client. It won't give you explosive traction, but that requires $0. But of course, let's go to level one, where you
Okay.
have some level of investment. And then what you want to do, you want to layer in cold outbound on top of that content demand that you're driving. Instantly is a perfect example of like a great sequencer that you can use for email. And you can combine it with something like our sequencer of LinkedIn as an example, where you want to go multi-channel outbound, because outbound is just one of the leanest acquisition methods out there compared to something like ads, which are of course much more expensive. So level one is after you're consistently posting, you want to layer in cold outbound, but also more important, inbound-led outbound. For those who don't know, the concept of inbound-led outbound is you're reaching out to post engagers, or also intent-based outbound, which means you're reaching out to prospects in the market who are likely to buy and who have some level of potential intent. An example of that could be they're engaging with one of your competitors, or they have a job posting for something that you offer as a service or as a SaaS company. So that is level one, I'd say.
Okay. Now, let's move to the level two. If you have $500 to $5,000, what are you going to be doing if the goal is to generate as much demand as possible? Is it going to be the same strategies that we're applying to the level one, which is signing up for instantly, signing up for LinkedIn sequencer, getting the list in the basic mailboxes? Or because you have more budget, you may spend it somewhere else that would exponentially help you to generate more demand.
100%. On that note, likely where I would invest, let's say $1,000 is in creating higher quality content. Likely you're a business owner and you don't have your whole day to create content, right? So you could maybe delegate more of the tasks like video editing or graphic design to have higher quality content. Then aside of that, I would just scale my outbound infrastructure, because the great thing about outbound, it's highly scalable and the inputs stay the same. From level one to level two, your inputs stay the same. You can just scale the infrastructure, and that alone will flood your opportunities for sure. And the nice thing, likely when you're at level two, your content starts to compound, and that's the whole point of it. Acquisition is actually not complicated, it's hard, but not complicated.
That's a great answer. And the level three is basically you having more than $5,000 to invest. So,
Yeah.
would the answer here be the same, which is invest more into content? Or would you actually recommend hiring someone? Because you can obviously do that with this type of the budget.
With this budget, there's two new unlocks which I would recommend. The first one is hiring a fractional go-to-market engineer, because in today's age of AI, a go-to-market engineer can unlock a lot of value and it can systemize like your whole GTM motion, which will give you like decent pipeline. On top of that, this probably also unlocks some level of budget which you could potentially invest into a different new acquisition channel. An example could be like LinkedIn thought leader ads, retargeting ads, as like a new acquisition channel as an example. Or you just expand on different social platforms, which also requires time and resources. Exactly. That is the recommendation that I would give.
That's
What would you
interesting.
recommend, by the way? Because
Yeah. That's interesting that you mentioned the LinkedIn ads because I've been hearing mixed opinions regarding the LinkedIn ads because this is usually by the bigger companies used as an awareness driven mechanism where you spend the money to get in front of the people, but they are not necessarily buying from that or going through your funnel when they see the ad. Have you had this experience or you think that it may be a very valid, good way to pair once you have the budget with the content and the go-to-market outbound?
the reason why I'm referring to ads is because of a well-known motion in the go-to-market space, which is called all-bound. Essentially, once you have used LinkedIn outreach, email, LinkedIn content, they likely start to interact with you. They will see you everywhere. And likely some of them will actually visit your website and or visit your LinkedIn profile or your company profile. This is an opportunity to retarget these warm leads. When I'm referring to LinkedIn ads, with this type of budget, I agree when you go, you need to be a much bigger fish to go massively on top of funnel LinkedIn ads, but you can use just a small budget to do retargeting ads, which the goal of that is really giving them the last push to maybe convert to your offering. Either it's like a sign up or it's like a book a call as an example.
That's great. Okay, Tim, now it is the time for the tutorial. Everyone who is watching us right now, the team will be giving us tutorial on, tell us what you're going to be showing.
We all know that we want to use Claude Code in our go-to-market motion, but the setup is not always that straightforward. So I hope I can alleviate some of that pain, and I will show you our second brain, which we're using for go-to-market, and what kind of systems we have in place in order to do outbound and content. I only have 10 minutes, so I try to keep it short.
Let's go. We are live. We can see your screen. Tell
Lovely.
us, what are we looking at? Looks crazy.
So what we can see here, that is something I usually like to show first because it shows like the second brain we are developing internally for our go-to-market. As you can see, if I zoom into here, we have so many different connected nodes, and don't worry, I will dive into how this actually works and what kind of benefit this actually has, because this is something I usually just like to show for reference to hook you guys. But on that note, our goal is to do a go-to-market, meaning we want to create content, organic content, but also outbound. And for this, the agents need to have context of our business, meaning about our LinkedIn plays, about our ideal client profile. And on top of that, context is the first layer. The second layer, in order for agents to do proper go-to-market, they need to have standardized operating procedures. And in the world of agents, we call them skills. So I try to create a skill for every part of the go-to-market process. And as you can see here, I have on the research side already like so many different skills.
Yeah.
One is doing a LinkedIn trend scan. One is scanning X. One is scanning my sales and customer calls for insights for which I can use in marketing assets. Then on the writing, on the copy side, I have a LinkedIn copywriter, which is grounded in my tone of voice and also in the tone of voice of creators I want to emulate. An example is Eugene. He creates great content, so I can use his content as a reference as an example. And then on top of that, we have also very nice skills like graphic designing, but also which blows personally my mind are video production skills, which create you launch videos like these motion graphic videos and also video editing, lead magnets, and publishing skills. So to sum this part up, you need to give your agents as much context about your go-to-market, meaning your ideal client profile, your offering, and then on top of that, you want to give it standardized operating procedures.
And Tim,
Show you
just to give you a quick heads up, can you also explain what are we looking at in terms of the interface? So I see it. This is Warp. Can you explain? Is it like a cursor so that people can also be on the same page?
100%. It's good that you stopped me because I like to nerd about these things. So what we're looking at is a CLI, meaning a command line interface. But simply said, we're just using Claude Code in a terminal. Okay. And exactly, I prefer that, but you could essentially also use, of course, your Claude desktop app. Both are viable options. Exactly.
Okay, interesting. So you can continue. We got it.
Okay, lovely. On that note, here I can give you some examples of the graphics that we have created with one of these skills.
Yeah, please.
Exactly. For this, actually, the easiest is if I just go briefly on my LinkedIn profile, because there I can share what kind of posts this system can actually create for us. And 90% of these posts have been created with Claude Code. And in my opinion, the graphic design is on a pretty good level.
It is.
As you
It
can
is.
see
I was
here.
wondering if it's actually generated by the LLM or by your
Exactly.
designer, because this is what we've been using. And in hearing that AI is good enough and you can, generate, you can use ChatGPT image 2, you can use Nana Banana 2. But
Yep.
usually when you just say, hey, please, here's the post, create the graphic for this, LinkedIn publication, it looks trash. Your looks
Exactly.
nice.
The reason for this is because the skill instructs it to actually create HTML, which in simple terms, it's actually creating code. It's creating like a website for each of these graphics, and including, which blows my mind the most, even this launch video is created by Claude Code.
No way.
Yeah.
Entirely by Claude Code.
Entirely by Claude Code. This is actually all coded, which in my opinion blows my mind.
Crazy. Wait,
Exactly.
so are you using just so that is it like third-party APIs for image gen or
Nope, it's actually coded. So it literally created custom HTML to render that. And
this is why, this is why it looks weird. And I guess image, the only not coded thing is probably the background, right, image of the mountain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's
exactly
straight.
that has been generated.
Yeah.
And even these launch videos are all generated by Claude Code. But I think we got the gist out of the content side of things, also to respect the time.
Sure.
How about we move over to the outbound side of things?
Yeah, let's go.
100%. So what you can see on this screen here, just to make it a bit familiar real quick for you, is I told Claude Code somewhere in a chat, I told it, source me a lead list of US SaaS founders and then enrich their email with a waterfall enrichment. For those who don't know what a waterfall enrichment is, it essentially is calling multiple data vendors like Prospeo, Blitz API, Contact Out, Hunter, to essentially find their email addresses. So we're essentially letting Claude Code source us the leads from a database, then enriching their contact information. Then we're using AI to generate personalized icebreaker. An example of this is I have launched this outbound campaign where I'm referencing the prospect's ideal client profile with this AI column, which has been configured by Claude Code essentially, so that we can then enroll that into an instantly campaign. And actually, funnily enough, this instantly campaign has been targeted to Y Combinator founders. For those who don't know, Y Combinator is one of the most famous startup accelerators. And these are very, very saturated target accounts. They're very hard to get into, but we managed to get 8 positive replies with that sequence created by Claude Code fully. So if you look at the sequence, you can see it uses this personalization and referencing, hey, I've seen you're in the YC batch, and is it right that you're targeting marketing teams? And then we're asking them if they're using Claude Code in their GTM. With Claude Code, I've set up a campaign instantly and used Oxygen to source the leads, enrich them, generate personalized messaging, and then enroll that into a sequence.
And let me ask you a question, because this is a very interesting campaign. So this is a lead magnet-like campaign because you're saying that you're going to send the repo. Are you automating that, like the follow-up sending, or you're still again, for this, obviously it's not a lot of leads. And usually when it comes to the follow-ups for these type of the campaigns, you're, manually someone from your team doing it.
Yeah. So on that note, here I can also show some cool feature of instantly subsequences, for those who don't know, where we have a subsequence when they reply positively, we just directly send them the GitHub repo link. to the lead magnet, right? And I book in a call. Because this works because the campaign structure is very simple. It's just like they send us a thumbs up or they say, yeah, we're interested. And then this is a simple one. But for more complicated ones, what you can do is you can set up a workflow in Oxygen where it generates a reply, and you can either have like human in the loop before sending it back to Instantly, or you can directly send an AI generated reply, or you can use Instantly reply agent. So there's both option.
This is really good. This is really good. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure, sure.
All good. So now we're going to go back to our questions because I have a few more things that I want to ask Tim. Now, everyone who wants to potentially get the repo, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, that you're sending to the
I'm gonna
Y
give it out
Combinator
for free
founders,
for
they can
sure.
reach out to you on the LinkedIn and get it, right?
Yeah, I can't promise that I'll be the person who responds. Maybe it's my bot.
Okay, sure. That's fair. That's fair. Look, so that's very interesting because here, I know I have a question that says, why is LinkedIn content beating cold emails right now? And it is based on one of the posts where you ranked LinkedIn content as an S tier and cold email as a B tier. And actually, it adds on top of what we have just seen, like the campaign that you've been running, which is a value driven campaign, right? So, like, you're giving the value by giving them the repo, like a lead magnet, and only then, if they are interested, if they're like appreciated, booking a call. So when you started doing that and why? So did you started to see that just pushing people directly to the call no longer works, or there's something more behind it?
Yeah, actually, on that note, something very interesting which we're currently testing with Claude Code is even generating personalized lead magnets for every prospect we're reaching out to, like a fully custom built lead magnet. The reason for this is because it's getting much harder to get replies nowadays because inboxes are saturated. So in order to stand out, you just need to 10x the value you're giving in the sales process. And you touch exactly on the right point. We're incentivizing our prospects as much to give us a reply by offering them free value. And we do this because we respect our prospects' time. Why should they respond to us? We're just a random person on the internet sending them an email. So that's the name of the game, in our opinion. The first one is like adding value. The second one is relevance. For this, you want to include signals, which we already discussed. Not sure if you want to touch point on content versus cold email.
No, that's good. That's good. I want to touch on the content. If you can share maybe a few very good pieces of content that any founder can start posting that generate impressions in reach right now. We're talking about July 2026.
Yeah. I hate to say it because it's so cringe.
Okay.
But lead magnet posts, they work out of following reasons. Even though everybody hates them, including myself, I still do them. They just work because they get you a lot of impressions and on top of that leads. So you get like both of the best worlds. So you're getting new followers through that and you're getting leads through that. Even though we can argue the quality of leads are not usually the best, it's still one of the growth hacks, but this only works, to be honest, if you have some impressive results to share. If you're not there yet, put your head down, work on delivering value to a client or try delivering value to yourself and create valuable resources for the marketplace, and then you can share that as a lead magnet. Aside of that, because this is just a corny one, and let's forget that,
Okay.
is value-driven posts about your story, because people are sick of LinkedIn being a too polished platform. So storytelling always works quite well, but if combined with value, that is always a great combination because you don't just want to get impressions, you also want to build trust, right? How do you see that? Because you're very good at content. What is your take on that?
I got a lot of my followers from the lead magnet posts. They were primarily AI driven, especially with the rise of N8N. So
Yeah.
for people who are new to this space, there was a make.com and Zapier, which were like primary drivers of this, automation thing. And then ChatGPT came out because Make was Integromat, right? Before that,
Yes.
and I've been using it as an Integromat. And then ChatGPT came out. And this transition from the Make to the N8N became huge. And a lot of people, like, for example, Nate Herc, started to pop up, which is like one of the biggest right now creators on YouTube about N8N. And then there was a Claude Code. So I was kind of like benefiting from this transition myself, but now I started to post less lead magnets because just trying to get more qualified people who value the content. And I did notice that if you go this route, you need to prepare that generally all other posts get less engagement. I don't know, maybe it's my thing, okay? So it feels like LinkedIn pushing more of your lead magnet posts compared to the regular ones.
On the qualified leads note, actually, the way we approach that is we have like a scoring mechanism, which takes all the engagers, not just the lead magnet engagers,
Yeah.
and scores them against our ICPs with a deterministic filter and an agent. And this allows us to focus on the best leads while cutting through the noise, because you will get a lot of noise. On the reach side, I haven't realized that on my posts, to be honest. Of course, the lead magnet posts are much easier. It's just the nature of how they work, right?
Okay. Now we have a blitz. Before I start, everyone who is watching right now, like and subscribe, comment what you want to see next. We are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. So now, Tim, it's a blitz where me asking you questions very fast and you reply either fast or expanding on your answer. You ready?
Yes.
Let's rock. Claude Code or Codex?
Both.
If you need to choose one.
Oof. Claude Code for GTM.
Okay. You have 450 users in your startup. Is it old users or paid users?
All the users,
All the users. Build in
because we
public
had a
or
free
build
tier.
in stealth?
Building public.
Would you take a VC money for the startup?
Later, yes.
VC money or Y Combinator money?
Y Combinator.
Is it for the money or is it for the reputation of being in the YC?
It's for the network. So
Okay.
kind of reputation.
Ship fast and break things or
Yes.
ship slow
Yes.
but stable?
Already answered that.
Ship fast.
Ship fast, for sure.
Okay. Hire a go-to-market engineer or a content engineer for a business doing more than $1 million a year and looking to get more leads.
Controversial for me to say, but content engineer. I think that's the bet.
Free trial or demo call. Would you prefer to pitch to a potential prospect?
We have a free trial.
Most you've spent on AI tokens in 1 month.
We have over $2,000 in spend per month on subscriptions, which in API costs would be around, I think it's my co-founder calculated, 35,000.
Okay. San Francisco, Switzerland.
San Francisco.
Do your parents understand what you do?
No.
So how to
Not
explain
really.
it?
They understand a part of it.
Interesting. Sometimes I'm telling my grandfather that I just help people with ads, and she's like kind of like understands the ads, and that's it. So when I start mentioning AI,
Television
now it
ads
becomes
or
harder.
what kind of ads?
Yeah, just generally ads. Just generally ads. Okay, I do have the last question that we ask every guest that comes to the show. If you have unlimited budget and unlimited access to the best talent in the world for the next 30 days, but you cannot spend it on marketing nor media buying, what would you spend it on? Would you launch a new startup because you have so much capital and best talent? Would you ship something like a feature within your current company, or would you do something different?
Then I would definitely work with the best content creators like yourself.
Okay.
On the demand side, I would work with the people who have understand that building an audience is a massive form of leverage in today's world. Especially for us, relevant is the go-to-market engineering scene. So we're in collaboration with some of them, but we would like to work with all of them.
Yeah.
That's on the go-to-market side. Then on the development side, I would hire Andre Kaparti.
That's fair.
An
That's fair.
obvious one.
Okay.
I think that would be enough. Just give Andre Kaparti 100 Codex and Claude Code subscription, and we should be fine.
Great answer. Tim, appreciate you coming in the show. What's the best way for people to reach you?
Send me a LinkedIn DM. I'm glad to get in touch with you.
Okay. Thanks for being at the show. Talk to you soon.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.